For all you Biden lovers out there, the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Joe Biden, allegedly president-elect, has received some criticism, oh man, that's bad, has received some criticism from Black Lives Matter's global network. And their quote, which was shared on Twitter by the Washington Examiner, is, "We will not accept liberal white supremacy in the White House in the form of Joe Biden." That's what a founding member of Black Lives Matter had to say. And I just find it kind of funny. Because Joe Biden, now, if the fact checkers come after this, just know that these are true statements. I'm not gonna put a bunch of things in here. This is just gonna be a quick video, so I'm not gonna have all my sources tied right up here for everyone to see. You can quickly verify these comments and accusations and allegations and claims. You can very quickly fact check them on a quick Google search. So, Mr. Joe Biden, the person that now Black Lives Matter is saying, you know, they're not going to accept him as a liberal white supremacist in the White House. Well, why'd you elect him? I mean, we've had 4 years of the media saying that Trump's a racist with no real proof of such racism. I mean, they keep saying it and just laying it on so thick just to convince people that are ill-informed that he's a racist, talking about Trump, when we all know he's not. And prior to him being president, he was well-loved in most different demographics. It really didn't matter the race. The guy's just, Trump is Trump 100% of the time. Whereas people like Joe Biden, I think he's a politician. He might as well be an actor. I mean, he's pretty good at putting on a show, other than, you know, he's losing it a little bit in his age, but pretty good at putting on the show. But this is the same person. You know, I don't know how you thought he wasn't going to be somewhat prejudiced. I'm not saying that he's racist, so let's be clear, because that's a bold claim. But he said some racist shit. He really has. So, I mean, let's look at the one that everyone's been grabbing on the right. Any conservatives, any moderates, they've been looking at this. If they're not a fan of Biden, they've looked at the crime bill and, you know, the 93-94 crime bill. And that was pretty racist. And not so much that, you know, the intention could have been, you know, you could have believed that the intention was good. It was to, you know, reform, to reduce crime by providing harsher enforcement on those crimes. So, you know, people spent more time in jail. There were minimum maximums, or no, might be the other way around. But either way, you know, if certain offenses had a minimum amount of time that you could serve in jail, the judge didn't have the ability to say, oh, well, you know, it was your first time, so instead of 5 years, we'll do 2. So the judge essentially took that decision out of the judge's hands. But that bill was aimed at minorities and also impoverished communities. So maybe you could claim that it's not really based on your ethnicity or religion, but it was based on class. So let's just say that. But it disproportionately affected people in the black community because it had harsher penalties for drugs that were more frequently found in black communities than it did for drugs that were more frequently found in white communities. I mean, now that one, I'm sure, you know, they might jump on this and say, oh no, the penalties were similar, but they weren't the same. So it was harsher for example, at the time, crack was more frequently found in black communities, and the minimum penalty for crimes involving crack were harsher than crimes involving cocaine, and cocaine was more frequently found in white communities. And this whole crime bill, where Biden is on video saying that we must remove these people off the street, they're not civilized, he's calling them super predators. And Bernie Sanders said it himself. There's video of it. Bernie Sanders said it himself that it was racist then, and everybody knew it was racist. That's almost exactly what Bernie Sanders said to Hillary Clinton, because she was involved in this bill as well. But that's just that bill. Now, you also have to remember that Biden's mentor, the late Robert Byrd, I don't even know if he died, but the guy was known to be a high-ranking member of the KKK. And this is a person that Biden claimed was his mentor. And there are many pictures of the two of them together, holding hands, celebrating, like, yay. I mean, that doesn't mean that Biden's a racist. It doesn't. But, a lot of times we find that people are being accused of things and being found guilty in the court of public opinion by their association or affiliation of such. But this is where it gets a little trickier. You look back in the 70s when Biden opposed busing, and he is on record as saying he didn't want his kid going, I don't know if it was growing up or going to school, but he didn't want his kid, some part I'm missing, in a racial jungle. This is the person that you don't think Biden's, maybe, I'm not going to say he is, but you don't think maybe he's a little racist? I mean, Black Lives Matter got behind him because they thought they could roll him over, which they very well may be able to do. And, if Black Lives Matter, if they remove things from their mission statement, if they weren't pushing for Marxism, and if they weren't pushing to destroy the nuclear family, and if they weren't yelling at people to kneel, I could totally get behind that movement, 100%. I think you're not going to meet a single person unless they are literally a member of the KKK. You will not meet a single person that wouldn't get behind, equality and equal treatment for all, which is essentially, what I think the purpose that started the movement. But now they're coming back, they're rolling back their statements, and they're saying, we don't want white supremacy in the White House in the form of Joe Biden. Well, whether or not he's a white supremacist remains to be seen, but he has associated with white supremacists and known KKK members, and he has said that he didn't want his kid growing up or going to school in a racial jungle, and he did create crime bills that disproportionately affected people in the black community. If the shoe fits. So, I'm not going to go any further. I will add one thing. Let me pull it up. In the article, Abdullah added during one protest that Biden would be doubling down on liberal white supremacy with the Garcetti appointment. So they're not happy with his decision to appoint Garcetti. But they say doubling down on liberal white supremacy. So that must mean they already know he's a liberal white supremacist. That's what they're saying. Because now they're saying he's doubling down. Right? You can't double down on something unless you've already been that something. So, that's like saying, I decided to start eating healthy, and then, I doubled and I told everyone I'm eating healthy now, and then the next day I doubled down and said I am eating healthy. So I said it again. You can only double down on something if it's already been claimed, if it's already been said, it's already believed, whatever. So if if Abdullah, pardon me if I'm saying it incorrectly, if she is stating that Biden is doubling down on liberal white supremacy, then she is saying that Biden is already guilty of liberal white supremacy. Understand that logic before you move any further in this. So if you are a member of any demographic and you think that Biden may or may not be, if you think Biden's a good choice, that's for you to decide. I hope that you've done research. If you've done research, I have a feeling that you land somewhere near me where you don't think he's a good choice. Unfortunately, there's a lot of people that just hate Trump, so they're going to vote for anyone but Trump. It could have been a carpet running against him, and they would have voted for it because they just hated Trump. That's understandable to some extent, but this is the country on the line, and I would just imagine that you would either vote for the better candidate or you wouldn't vote at all. But I don't have any sort of authority to tell you not to do that. So you do you. And let's just assume that he's not a racist and he's not a white supremacist. But let's take note in that actions committed, policies promoted and sponsored by Biden have been very much prejudice at the very least. And Black Lives Matter's representative, Abdullah, is now claiming that he is doubling down on his liberal white supremacy. So just keep that in mind as we move forward. It doesn't change anything, but hey, he might be the president. let's see how that turns out, because we've spent 4 years watching one guy who has no proof of being a racist get called one, and now we have a guy who has a lot of proof of potentially being a racist. This is the first time I've seen this accusation thrown at him by groups or party members that I believe to be on his side of the political fence. So we'll see how this plays out. This is Alex with LWS Update. Please like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and please share this video for others to see. If you like it, please, leave a comment. If you have other topics that you want covered, definitely leave a comment or send an email to request@loganws.com, and we will follow up on that request if we can, and make another video bringing light to a subject that's important to you. So thanks again, and I'll see you next time.